right. Hey, Thursday, and that means another in the huddle. So today we're going to be, well, first of all, let me introduce the team that's going to be talking to you today. So you probably recognize this guy, Jason Nunemacher. So Jason Nunemacher, who's a certified 10X advisor and business coach, and he's been in the service industry for over 20 years. He's built and he's growing multiple multi-million dollar home service companies in the state of Arizona. So, I mean, usually you just build one multi-million and like that's a huge feather in the cap. But this guy has been he's done multiple million dollar home service industries. It's absolutely phenomenal. Jason is all about helping other business owners and their teams find freedom through profitable growth of their business. And little bit of a teaser, but how much was it the other day? You met with somebody, and in the very first session, you found what was it like $800,000 in
Yeah, it was like
real
$863,000 of money they could put on their books this year.
one meeting, one meeting. Yeah. So this guy is a business guru. Um, and he just wants to really help people just hit their personal, professional, and financial goals. I'm also joined with Rob Kane. Rob owns Automation Invasion. He has years of experience with business process optimization. And Robert's personal mission is to help lawn care and landscape business owners streamline their operations through innovative automation solutions, boosting efficiency and driving growth. He's here to share his valuable insights and experience with us today. And it will be really, really, really beneficial to hear what he says after I introduce the topic. My name is Chris Volpe. I've been in the home service game for 10 years now. I own a cleaning business of my own. I was with Service Autopilot for 10 years, helped coach thousands of businesses. I've also seen a thing or two over the past decade. And if you notice, there's someone who does not have the same background. So he is our special guest today, Mr. Jessie Barrack, who is a senior vice president over at Explore. We covet his wisdom, and we're really happy that he's able to join us today because today we're going to talk about a really hot topic button issue that we've been seeing all over all the social medias. We're going to be talking about texting and how texting is still a fantastic tool to leverage communication with your customers. But let's be honest, it is getting more and more difficult to use that tool. And we want to talk a little bit about why it's becoming a little bit more difficult. Are the softwares out to get you? Um, uh, You'll have to stay tuned to find out. And then what are some ways that you can still leverage that tool? So Jason, I think we were talking before. You had a question for Jesse regarding texting, right?
Yeah, I just want to add some context to it too. I throughout the years, I've been known to be the topic of conversation at Service Autopilot when something is taking a long time or crashing. Hey, did Tree Pros just do something? So, because we definitely leverage those tools, whether it's emails or texting or what have you. So, it's big.
So I can attest, you did crash it a couple times, my friend.
Yeah, I wanted to give you guys new problems to solve. That's all.
Well, we're trying to make it crash proof just for you,
Yeah,
Jason.
like just the old boring problems you guys are solving wasn't good enough. I wanted to give you new ones. So
Someone did reach out to me one time. This was before we started working together. Someone reached out and was like, "Hey, Tree Pros is up to it again. Would you reach out to Jason Nunemacher?" So I can attest that yes, he did. That's that's how big his business is he can crash a system. Anyway,
hey,
I digress.
by the way, I'll share this blame. Rob was on our team at the time as well. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay. So you didn't have this in his intro, but he's also a marketing genius as well. I don't know if he's trying to hide that or what, but he definitely is. So anyway, that being said, I did want to bring some context to this because it's definitely a tool that we use. We find a lot of value in, and being a coach, I'm working with a lot of businesses that use different platforms. So it's not just Service Autopilot, not just Field Edge, but there's other platforms people are using like Go High Level and of course, Twilio is kind of wrapped up in a lot of these companies. And so this is a regulation that's been brought on where basically the parent distributor like Service Autopilot or Field Edge, they're being required, instead of them being the registered agent, they're being required to each domain underneath them that's doing any type of marketing like this has to have their own, basically assume ownership and register as a marketing company sending out these texts and so forth. So that's what's going on that's disrupting this and making all these changes. So as we pivot to this, it's obviously creating, some opportunities to create different solutions and a big disruption for us as the end user, but understandably so for the CRMs and the platforms that are using those. So I feel like Service Autopilot, Field Edge, Explorer, and other providers that we deal with our other clients are doing a great job of pivoting, creating these solutions, working with people like us that work with teams and companies on a regular basis through these things, and hearing the feedback and making those changes as quick as possible. And the difficult spot they're in, having to work with the regulation powers that be and the other partners that they have to work with, like a Twilio or whatever, to make all this work for the end user. So it's not just one. It's not just Twilio, it's not just Service Autopilot. There's a group of people that interconnect to make all this stuff work. And so I feel like they're doing a great job. They're definitely open to the feedback and working with people like us that can help them navigate through real long-term solutions through this. So I really appreciate you coming on, Jessie, and being a part of this and kind of explaining that situation. So if you can just kind of talk about, hey, what is it that happened? Where are we at? What solutions have you deployed? What worked? What didn't work? What's solved and what still needs to be solved? I know I gave you a lot, so if you get lost in that, I can repeat it later.
Yeah, that's right. I think I can keep up, but if not, you can go, hey, you forgot this part, and I'll catch you back up. But really what started all this is some federal regulations changed a while back, and there was a time frame for all carriers, meaning Twilio or Verizon, really anybody who is involved in texting at all, had to change the way they do certain things, change filters, and change the way that they allow customers to opt in. And so I'm kind of an old guy. I've been around a little while, and so I've seen us go through many, many email changes, like we used to, like the mail way back in snail mail. We had changes that regulation changes and how we handle direct mail pieces and who could send what and how many we could send. Then email came along and we thought we had our secret weapon as marketers and we could just blast everybody in the planet on email. I have 37,000 unopened emails in my Gmail account, my personal email account. Email was great for a while, and then regulations came along and folks had to opt into email. I guarantee all those aren't opted in, but some of them are spam, some are whatever. And then carriers filter those out.
By the way, that sounds like a really fun party game.
To see who has the most.
Everyone take out their phones, and whoever has the most unread emails wins.
Yeah, I think that's right. It would be fun. A drinking game, no less, we should do. So anyways, all of this is a reaction to the latest regulatory environment around texting. And so we had to change the way we handled opt-ins. And by the way, I'm a huge fan of texting. I agree with everybody who's here that texting is the way to go. We coach customers all the time that texting is read 65% more than email and within minutes rather than within days, right? So texting is still the way to go. And so all of this pain that we're going through is worthwhile. Go through the pain. It's worth getting your customers to opt in. It's worth being able to communicate with those through text, but it was a huge lift and an unexpected lift. If you think about all the things we work on from a product perspective, we had to lay a lot of that aside and put these things in place so that we can continue to use the texting tool and abide by the regulatory environment that we're in now and satisfy all the carrier rules that have been implemented because of that regulation. Did I leave anything out?
I would say like what are some of the solutions that you guys have conquered, and what solutions are left yet to solve for the long term?
Yeah, I think the overall solution, I think we solved, right? We built in the technology to allow our members to have their customers opt in on an ongoing basis. The pain of that was that we had to do a lot all at once, right? As we're ongoing, we're always going to get those opt in for text on every new phone number we collect. And we're just going to say, click this box so that you can get texting and we're good to go. But we built in the back end all the forms and all the required opt-in language and all the other things that you need to stay compliant as marketers within the software, and all of that is up and running. And with that probably came a few bugs. I know about 4 of them we've identified through help from our members who were using it. All but one of those has been 100% fixed. And we've issued a workaround for the last remaining one that we are working on a fix now. That last remaining one is that if you sync with QuickBooks and some weird character comes over from QuickBooks that's not a normal phone number character, it will cause the opt-in to fail. So that you can send the customer the note, it's the right information, they use the right phone number, they fill out the form and they opt in. It doesn't go in because we got some weird phone number language going on from QuickBooks. The workaround is if you got all that information from the customer and it failed, go ahead and opt them in manually, because you got the opt-in language to back it up and it's all in the system. All that stuff you're going to need to prove that you got the opt-in, if anything ever comes up, an audit, is all in there. You can just go ahead and opt that in while we work on that final remaining fix, which Tara tells me should be shortly. So I would say that from a technology standpoint, we've provided all the tools that we know how to provide. If there's something that comes up, we're very much open to understanding how we can do it better, or what different workflow we need to put in place. But from our perspective, we've provided all those tools in the software to make it easy for our members to get their customers to opt in. Once we get through this initial, like, oh my gosh, all 7,000 of my customers need to opt in at once, or I can't text them. Once we get through that, we should be in a very good cadence to get those opt-in languages one by one as we bring on new customers.
I think
One thing that was really helpful that you were explaining was the not so like people have experience, they've mentioned that their text messages have been blocked, but it's not really a high like percentage case. What were you saying about who's actually blocking?
Yep. So if a customer is not opted in, it's very risky to send those out, and the carrier will probably block them. Like in Twilio, will probably get blocked. But if they've opted in, we're still seeing failure rates, and we always do. It's the same with email, by the way. If you get a good email that from somebody who you expected that email, but that might have gone to spam, it's the carrier's spam filters are what weeds those out. And so what we've seen in general, and this is generalization, but we can drill down by member to figure this out. If a text or email gets blocked from an opt-in person, we can actually track down which carrier it was and why it might have gotten blocked. And what we've seen is that on average, about if 100% of text goes out and they're opted in, 80%, 88% are going through smoothly. 12% are having a tougher time, and it's typically through sorry, I just blanked on
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile and Sprint, thank you, Chris, that have
Gotcha.
tougher filters and less filtering than Verizon and AT&T, for example. And so those carriers with tougher filters are blocking more of those, and most of those are where the issues lie. So we are trying to reach out to those folks and get some of this loosened up. Twilio will work with them, and really as a member, as a marketer, you can work with them as well, and going online, figuring out the contact folks for T-Mobile and try to figure out why they're blocking your messages.
And then Rob, if you don't mind sharing, just kind of, you've been working through some of the use cases and the workarounds, if you can kind of share what what you've kind of done as we're um, moving towards a long-term solution, but maybe some band-aids that are working right now until that's completely finalized.
Yeah, number one, I just want to thank Jesse for being open to join us and having this conversation. And also the SA team has been really helpful. Whenever I reach out via chat, I'm usually in Q1 and they're able to walk me through and convey their expertise on the issue as well. So what I've been doing with my clients and even coming out with an initial SMS opt-in automation to make sure that we could address it ahead of a lot of the restrictions. There are still some that are lingering, still having their own challenges. But my biggest thing is just putting it into as much communication as possible. So with dispatch automations, with emails that are going out, give your clients the ability to text start to your two-way text number. It just seems to be working better than really anything. If your clients are initiating that opt-in via text, and just being very consistent about that communication really leaves that door closed for them to say that I didn't get your message, I didn't know that I was late on my invoice, I didn't know you guys were coming out to my property. Just starting to include that in all those emails that are going out from this system has just been really helpful and a best practice that I'm starting to implement with the clients that I work with.
Nice. And one thing I wanted to highlight is like, and I don't feel like I need to come to your guys' defense, but I also know what it's like, a user just gets frustrated. And I know I've like I'll give you an example, like with AI, we get these solutions with AI and we're doing things way faster than we've ever done them before, but then we're still not satisfied, right? We're like, hey, how come it doesn't do this? How come, like, dude, you just save like 30 hours of your time and you're complaining about this one, because it's not doing something else, because now you can imagine something bigger. And so I feel like over the years, any software company, it doesn't have to be Service Autopilot, Field Edge, it's any software company, just because you're a business like anybody else and trying to create solutions for your client base. And it can be frustrating for the user, but I will say this to your guys' defense. I feel like you guys have been a great partner. All of the companies that I've built and grown are on your platform, including companies of friends of mine that I've referred you to. In fact, I have one friend that thought, hey, because they didn't do this, let's look at something else. I'm a big, I love software. I research software. I test software looking for the right solution. I have not found something worthwhile switching. Just the power of Service Autopilot to me, and I know this isn't a Service Autopilot sales pitch, but I just
keep going.
No, I just want to show you my appreciation to you, Jesse. I'm just doing this, I guess, live to you. That
Jesse's like, stop it, stop it, stop it. Keep going.
No, you've been a great partner. I mean, you've also included, people like myself that can see a bigger picture, not just the thing that I need. We're a tree service company. We're not even your target market, at least initially, your lawn care, right? But you guys brought me in to, hey, let's revamp the dispatch board in a more thoughtful way back in the day. And you guys have included me on projects like that and saying, hey, we want that feedback of people that are savvy enough to bring solutions that impact everybody, not just my little thing. And so I've always found you guys to be open with the right people that had a vision for what they needed, but also what you guys were trying to accomplish for the greater good of everybody. And so, anyway, I started talking about my friend who went to this. It's a complete disaster. They thought it was going to be one thing, and it's just everything. And the problem is they didn't listen to me a lot. They felt like, hey, we do things different. And so, but everything they wanted to accomplish, they could have accomplished Service Autopilot with just some help on implementation of it. But now they chose to do that, and it's just been a total disaster. And I actually looked at the software they went to myself in the past, and it looks great. But when I ask all the questions I know that I need to ask to make sure, because it's very disruptive, right? To change anything, when you're doing things. So, I really don't feel like there's a better solution out there. Maybe one day there will be, but to me, like your guys' automation features, your dispatch board particularly, And I know there's some things behind the scenes that you're working on with reporting and so forth, that's going to make that even much better. And even not having an open API, which everybody wishes you had, it's still to me the best platform. And there is no perfect software, I'll tell you. And so, but the
That's
way
true.
that the way you guys handle things and the way you address things, the way you're open to, you're not gonna be able to solve, 20,000 people's, frustrations, every single one of their frustrations. But I think
Jesse is. He said he could do that personally,
I'm
easy.
trying to do
we're
that
gonna give
personally.
we're gonna give
He said-
his
said
cell
bring
phone
it.
number out at the end of this call, so it's worth no, but no, but you guys do look at the big picture, right? And you guys do respond, I feel, in a great way, and some people love it, and some people are just frustrated by the scenario that I don't have the fix now. And so I just want to tell you that from me to you, that I really appreciate your guys' response. And from back in the day when Jonathan was around for Service Autopilot to now with the new people. I love Tara and you, and working with the team. I think you guys do a great job. So
That's awesome. Jason, really, that makes me feel so good because, I don't always hear the positive. I I believe what you're saying, very much. We are not perfect, and we're a little bit of an ups and downs, right? We went through a cycle of adding a bunch of features, and now we're going through a cycle of bug fixes, which don't feel like nuisances, right? They feel like the end of the world sometimes, and we get that. We're going to get through this bug fix period, and we're going to start to add features and make the platform a lot more robust. And we do have some great things coming up. And if it ever feels like we don't care, that's not true. Because I do know how it can get that way. You're in the heat of summer, you're trying to do your job, you're trying to get, text out or whatever the latest thing might be. You're trying to get forms, to work or reports to run. And if we have bugs, it disrupts your business, and we understand that. And my goal is to keep pushing and keep making sure that we're delivering value and keeping ahead. And you said maybe someday a software will come along that's better, but my goal is, and our goal is, to stay ahead of that so that that never happens. We want to serve this industry and continue to do that. And nothing's ever going to be perfect. Software is always going to be a pain in the butt a little bit, but we're going to continue to add the value to run the business. So, really, Jason, thanks for the positive thoughts, and we'll continue to work through these. And I think this latest texting thing is a great example of that, right? We didn't set the regulation. We don't have lobbyists in Washington saying we want to be able to text everybody for free and not really matter. Those lobbyists might have helped in this situation, but once that regulation gets passed, carriers set their tone, and we have to react to that. And so a lot of our resources had to stop doing what we were doing so that we could make sure that you could keep doing what you're doing, and deliver value there. So, we're not perfect. We had to put together a solution to help us with this, and help you with this, but I think we've done it. And once we get through, I guess, again, this initial transition, I think we're all going to feel a lot better about that we're in compliance. Because if you start to look at the regulation and what could happen if you are texting people that haven't opted in, it's super costly. And that doesn't reflect on Service Autopilot only, it reflects on you too. And so a few instances of texting the wrong folks at the wrong time could, be costly enough to really, really affect your entire year. And so I'm not saying this to scare anybody. I'm saying this because that's why we had to do what we did, to make sure that you guys are in compliance. And you reading up on those things and making sure you're in compliance are really important. I'm going to drop a link in the chat that I think you can repost and help out. And it's from our partners at Twilio. And it really just goes into, why message filters have to be in place, how the message filtering works. It's going to be great to help educate yourself outside of this kind of 30-minute window that we had to talk about it, on how to improve what you're doing as marketers.
And I think to another, going
Awesome.
past compliance, I think if you really think about the power of what they're making us do that we maybe don't necessarily like, is that I'm not, like, you're talking to your target audience, the people that want to hear from you. And there's a lot of value in that, because you can waste a lot of time with people that didn't want your message, didn't want your service, and that's just a wasted time. But when you can narrow it down to the people that said, hey, I'm raising my hand, I want you to communicate with me, I want your thing, I want more of your stuff, like that just eliminates a lot of wasted time. Like, why do I want to spend all that energy and time on people that don't care anyway? So so I think we're going to find that this is a good thing. It's going to help you
super
really.
wise thing you just said, because we spend a lot of time as marketers communicating with people who don't give a crap.
Right.
What you just said is the truth. Like, communicate with the people who do care and want to know about what you're offering.
Yeah, so it's a great thing that they're forcing us to do this, because a lot of people don't. They just want to throw mud at the wall, and it's just a lot of wasted time and energy, you know. So
For sure.
the other thing I was going to say is sometimes we get frustrated on things that we did and we blame it on other scenarios. But I know you guys and other, not just you, other platforms send out notices, hey, get yourself registered, and me, like everyone else, waits to the last minute. Well, what I knew and found out about, not even through you guys, was people that did register, there was like this waiting line of you getting approved, right? And so there's this big backlog of all these people that waited to the last minute, and we're frustrated with people like you that, hey, how come it's not opened up for me yet? Well, that was our own fault, because you sent out the notice, we didn't do it early, and then there's this big backlog and you wait in the line. So some of those things can give us a bad taste about the provider, when it was really our own doing on some of the things. So, and it's just, some of it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, it is what it is, because we, I always look back, could we have done a better job of communicating it? Could we have like created a better sense of urgency? It is what it is. We are where we are. We're all going to react to it. We're all going to get through this pain, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. And hopefully we don't have any more unexpected challenges for a while, and we can just keep raking in the new customers.
So tell us,
Jesse, real quick, I don't want to throw a curveball out of left field, but we were discussing the dispatch board update with tag management. I'm wondering if there are any other awesome nuggets that you can drop for people to get excited about SA that they should know about, maybe coming up within the next 6 months or sooner.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think, Robert, great question. And a lot of what we're focusing on, and it's going to continue to be what we focus on through the remainder of the year, is making things work faster, better, cleaner, less bug fixes, less disruptions. But one of the big ones that I'm excited about is on reporting. We're doing a lot of work on the back end to make reporting a lot faster and a lot more robust. We know your businesses run on data. You being able to understand the KPIs of your team and how they're performing, and where your profitability is, and where your money's going out the back door, and where it's coming in the front door, and all those important things from a reporting standpoint are key. And so this will be a little bit of a two-step process, but we're really working on, number one is it will also speed up the system in general, because we're getting all that data that's in there and into a platform called Snowflake, which is really just a data warehouse. And so all of our individual members' data is going to be in this data warehouse so that they can access. And then we're going to be upgrading our reporting tool within Service Autopilot to, I'm not going to say the name because I'm not positive all that work is done, but we have chosen a provider and they're going down the path. And that will allow us to do much more robust dashboards within customizable dashboards, customizable reporting. And then for our, members with multiple locations, having that data in Snowflake and the ability to not just report on each individual location, but do roll-up reporting and all those kinds of things. So that's the thing I'm most excited about that's coming up.
Awesome.
I probably should say I'm most excited about the bug fixes and the speed and just making the UI a little more robust and making it a lot easier for you to use. But those two things are really what we're going to be working on the rest of the year and are super exciting. So
that is exciting. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Big announcement. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, Tara will probably kill me later for saying it, but I think I'm comfortable enough that we can talk about it. So
You heard it
Yeah,
here
I did hear
first.
some rumblings as you know, I alluded to it a little bit earlier. So, but Jesse, no, I appreciate your time and coming on and giving us a
Yes.
story about where we've been, where we're at, why it happened, and what's the future look like on solving that. So really appreciate that.
yeah, thanks so much for having me, and appreciate you guys, appreciate all our members, and any way I can help, let me know.
We'll do this. We'll do this more often to bring you on, bring someone else from the company on, because yeah, we're here to try to help members. And yeah, it's been great so far. So thank you, Jesse, for your time. Um, unless anyone else has anything, I think that wraps up this huddle. Um, Tune in next week as we talk about sales. That's our
Marketing.
topic next. Marketing. That's what I said. Marketing. We'll be talking about marketing next week. Join us next week. Let us know if you have any questions in between now and then. Jesse, thank you again, and we'll see you next week.
See you, everybody.
Thank you, Jesse.
I'm going to get a
Appreciate
cool
it.
background before you have me on next.
Awesome.
Not my
make one
poor
for you.
office.
All right.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
guys.
Thank you. Bye.